Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Read It. I conduct client interviews all day, every day. 6 to 9 appointments daily. Every single one starts with the same script. It's an entire page of text, about 3.5 minutes of regularly paced speech. However, I've always had a great memory, so I've completely memorized it, along with several other standard scripts. Every manager I've had in the past has been impressed by this, but my current manager, who, with all sincerity, I worry may be experiencing some memory difficulties, took offense to it. She reported it to her supervisor, who then escalated the issue to our policy department. They ruled that the script must be read directly from the page. This was frustrating, because I had it memorized so well that I could multitask, review reports, update cases and take notes, all while reciting the script. My solution is to sit there, script in hand, held upside down, with my eyes closed as I pretend to read it. The next story is called New Policy. Years ago, I worked for a company that bought out another company. After the merger, our manager was replaced by one from the acquired company. We'll call her Patty. It didn't take long for us to realize that she had some policies and expectations that didn't sit well with those of us who took the legal definition of our non-salaried positions very seriously. For example, she expected staff meetings to be held after work hours, with everyone required to stay, but without overtime pay. So at the first meeting, which started at 5 PM, there was a mass exodus of the original employees who were paid hourly. The looks on Patty's and the new employees' faces was absolutely priceless. By the next day, a memo was circulated. All future staff meetings would be held during the workday. The third story is called Company Training. I used to work for a manager who, to put it kindly, wasn't the best. The only thing she was really good at was approving time off. She spent most of her workday planning vacations, delegating her actual work, and taking credit for what her employees did. She also loved traveling to seminars and conferences on the company's dime, only to return with no useful work-related information. Just plenty of stories about her work trips. She had no interest in developing the staff, opportunities for additional training, education or certifications, not for us. But she made sure to take those opportunities for herself, until she realized they actually required effort, at which point she gave up. I had requested some in-house training that would have helped advance my career, but she always had an excuse. It's not in the budget, we can't spare you, and so on. Since she was my manager, her approval was required, and she refused. The training would cost $1,500. It covered tuition, books and certification testing. So I gave up on asking and instead applied to a graduate program in a related field. And because tuition reimbursement was a company benefit that didn't require manager approval, I got accepted and submitted my tuition reimbursement for the next 2 years. In the end, my company ended up paying $12,000 for my graduate degree, all because my manager wouldn't approve a $1,500 training. The last story is called Doctor's Note. This happened a few years ago, when I was on active duty in the military, as an officer in the healthcare field. Overall, I loved my time in service, but the bureaucracy of such a huge organization eventually started to wear on me. As a healthcare professional, I would often use my days off to moonlight, working in private practice, since the pay was much better. This is completely acceptable in the military, and most providers do it. There are a few hoops to jump through, but most commanders are fine with it. Many even do it themselves. Unfortunately, leadership changes, and we ended up with a first sergeant who seemed to enjoy making things difficult for officers whenever he could. One time I submitted a leave request for a day I planned to work in private practice, and he denied it on a technicality. I don't remember exactly why. Maybe I submitted it a day late or something like that. Either way, I wasn't going to let it stop me. I quickly reviewed our sick call policy and made sure to download a copy. Officers were generally given quite a bit of leniency, and according to the policy, there was no requirement to report to work or submit a doctor's note, unless we were out for 3 days or more. This was standard practice for every officer in the unit. No one did anything more than call in sick if they needed to miss a day. So the day I had a requested off arrived, and unfortunately I came down with a sudden case of the sniffles. I called in sick. The first sergeant was not happy and told me I had to report to sick call and submit a doctor's note. I told him, sure, just show me the policy that says I need to do that. We went back and forth all morning while I was at the private practice. He kept insisting I needed a note, and I kept pointing out that he was holding me to a different standard than other officers. Finally he came back with, the commander says you need a doctor's note, so you need one. Now, in the military, if the commander says to do something, you pretty much have to do it. Cue malicious compliance. Due to a unique situation, my private practice and home were about an hour away from the base where I worked. However, there was another base right in my town. I had been stationed there previously, but got reassigned and decided to commute instead of moving my family. So instead of driving all the way to my base, I had a better idea. I went to the hospital on the base near me. By this time it was close to lunch, and I had about an hour before my next set of patients at the private practice. I quickly drove to the hospital ER, and as I walked in, I started convincing myself of just how sick I felt. By the time I checked in, I had a pretty convincing performance going, and told reception I had been throwing up all morning and couldn't keep anything down. The nurse took one look at me and said, yeah, you don't look too good. Not sure how to take that, but I rolled with it. A provider saw me quickly, diagnosed a stomach virus, and asked why I had come in for something so minor. I explained that my commander required a note. He looked irritated, but clearly had seen this kind of thing before. I was about to be discharged when he decided that since I had been throwing up all morning, I should get some fluids and ordered an IV. I glanced at my watch and realized I had about 30 minutes left in my lunch break. Since it had been a busy morning, I hadn't kept up with my hydration, so I figured, why not? They hooked up the IV and I relaxed on my phone, enjoying the hydration boost. Unfortunately, lunch was almost over and the IV bag was still half full, so I unhooked it, squeezed the rest of the fluid into the sink and hooked it back up. The nurse came in, saw the empty bag and sent me on my way. Doctor's note in hand, feeling refreshed and hydrated, and with plenty of time left to finish my afternoon schedule. Mission accomplished. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.